All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we are taking a look at the GOP
Ooh.
in 2024 and what exactly their values seem to be.
Right.
Because there's a lot of discussion going around about it.
There is?
And we have a recent article from the Daily Beast that we're going to be taking a look at.
Okay.
And this is going to be a really interesting deep dive.
Sounds like fun.
Because this article has a lot of accusations of racism.
Oh, wow.
A lot of stuff about Elon Musk.
Okay.
And even some stuff about Christian nationalism.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting piece, and I think it's going to be a good deep dive.
I'm ready.
So the central thing that this article is about is a Donald Trump rally
Okay.
that happened recently. And there was one speaker in particular who made some pretty inflammatory remarks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was talking about how Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage.
Wow.
So that's just one of the things
Oh, my goodness.
that this article is talking about. But I think it's important for us to back up a little bit
Okay.
and consider the bigger picture.
Sure.
Like, why is everybody so riled up about this one rally?
Right.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, any Donald Trump rally is going to get people talking.
Right.
But I think this one in particular is really interesting because it kind of highlights the division within the Republican Party right now.
Yeah.
You've got some Republicans who are trying to distance themselves from this kind of rhetoric, and you've got others who are embracing it.
Right.
And I think that's really what's making this rally so significant.
Yeah, it's like a magnifying glass
Exactly.
on the Republican Party right
Well,
now.
especially because we're so close to the election.
Exactly.
Like every little thing is being scrutinized.
Oh.
So yeah, this is a big deal.
Okay, so we've got the setting, we've got the tension.
Right.
Now let's talk about one of the people who's pushing back against all of this. So Republican Representative Maria Elvira Salazar, she said that this kind of talk does not reflect GOP values.
Interesting.
Do you think she's being genuine, or is this just some political maneuvering?
It's tough to say. I mean,
Yeah.
she's in a difficult position, right? If she alienates Trump's base, that could be really bad for her.
Right.
But on the other hand, if she supports this kind of rhetoric,
Right.
then that could also be bad for her. So I
Yeah.
think she's trying to walk a very fine line here.
Yeah. So it's really a microcosm of
Exactly.
the larger battle within the GOP.
Right. Are they going to embrace
Yep.
these more
Right.
extreme voices?
Right.
Or are they going to try to return to a more moderate stance?
Okay, so we've got Salazar trying to kind of
Smooth things over.
smooth things over, exactly.
Mhm.
And then we've got Danielle Moody and Andy Levy, who are the hosts of the New Abnormal podcast. And they're saying, hold on, this rally is exactly what the GOP stands for in 2024.
Wow.
So is this a fair assessment?
I mean, there's definitely some evidence to support that.
Like what?
Well, if you look back at the 2016 election, the rise of the Tea Party movement really shifted the Republican platform. And that was kind of a sign of things to come.
Okay.
And then you look at the rhetoric that's being used by some of the more prominent GOP figures,
Yeah.
the policies that they're championing,
Right.
the candidates that they're supporting.
Right.
I think it all paints a pretty clear picture.
So we can't really talk about the GOP without talking about Elon Musk,
Right.
because this article says that he's all in on Trump.
Well, that's not really a surprise.
Right.
But what's interesting is that Jay Willis, who's the editor-in-chief of Balls and Strikes, he's suggesting that Musk's motives are a mix of right-wing media influence
Oh, wow.
and some pretty savvy business plays.
So it's not just about ideology.
Right.
It's also about money.
It could be both.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Right, because his stance on certain policies could directly affect his businesses.
Oh, totally.
Like, think about SpaceX, for example.
Yeah.
Government contracts for space exploration are worth billions of dollars.
Right.
So if he aligns himself with a particular party, that could give him a big advantage.
So we're talking about potentially a mix of personal beliefs
Right.
and straight up business strategy.
Possibly.
And then there's this whole other element of Christian nationalism that the article mentions.
Right.
And for those who aren't familiar with the term,
Yeah.
it's basically the merging of Christian beliefs with American civic life.
Exactly.
And according to Phoebe Petrovich from Wisconsin Watch, this movement is actually gaining some serious traction.
It really is.
So that's another thing that we have to consider when we're thinking about the future of the GOP.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've got a controversial Trump rally that's exposed the deep divisions within the Republican Party. We've got Elon Musk potentially pulling strings in the background. And we've got the rise of Christian nationalism adding another layer of complexity. So what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the Republican Party is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
The decisions that they make in the next few months, the candidates they associate, they support, the rhetoric that they use.
Right.
It's all going to determine their identity for years to come.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely.
So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Please.
Leave a comment down below and let us know what you think.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the next deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.